Hello and welcome to an Engine Bay maintenance blog. It's a bit of a departure this week, not so much a maintenance blog, more of a sort of a documentation of what happened when we had a battery meltdown recently in Colombia and how difficult it is to deal with those situations when you're off the beaten path. So just to give a bit of background, we arrived in Santa Marta in Colombia, and most marinas in this part of the world are on a 110 volt system with 60 hertz, and in Europe it's 220 with 50 hertz. So what they tend to do is jury rig a pod to adapt to 220 volts, and that's what they did in Santa Marta. We haven't had any electricity because they're American pods, not European pods. Most of the pods around here are 110 volts and we need a 220 volt one. They did kindly jury rig one of the pods, but obviously the alarm bells are ringing, so what we tended to do was charge the battery off the pod and then run all the appliances on the boat from the battery bank. And when we moved on to Cartagena, which is further down the coast in Colombia, we did the same thing, and it was only 2 days in and then this happened.
Rowan was just going to sleep and she just said that she could feel the bed was really hot and she felt the wood next to it and said it was burning. So we quickly got her out of bed and had a look at the batteries. You can smell the batteries have been boiling up. They're really hot and they're kind of swollen in parts. So Woody's turned off the battery charger. So that obviously wasn't regulating it, so I don't really know why, but I think our batteries are fried.
And I'm just taking some readings now to try and work out if the batteries are kind of running away or whether they're cooling down. We've got a fan on them to try and cool them down, but I'm going to take a reading every 5 or 10 minutes just to make sure that they are cooling down. And then we've got a major problem on our hands because it's probably the battery charger is knackered, possibly lost the battery bank as well because they've all distorted, which is very expensive and bad news. So last night we had a lot of drama in that the batteries were overheating quite badly and they've actually distorted. So we suspect it's the battery charger. The battery charger display has been very intermittent over the last few months and we haven't been able to get a proper display. So if there have been any error messages, then they've been missed. But we suspect that it's since plugging into shore power, although we kind of thought that the battery charger should regulate that sort of thing, you know, and when it hits float then the charge should stop going to the batteries. Obviously that hasn't happened and they've just basically cooked. Even though I can hear that the battery charger is working, there's still no display on it. So I'm completely blind as to what's actually gone in. So the batteries are down to 90% at the moment. So I'm going to charge them for 10 minutes and take the temperature again and do that every 10 minutes until they're 100%, and obviously switch the battery charger off. I need to call an electrician to check the batteries, although I suspect they're goosed just looking at them. I took voltage reading yesterday and they all seemed okay, but it's whether we want to risk sailing around with distorted batteries. I've fully charged them now. I'm just taking the voltage reading just to see if they hold the charge or not. So I've basically been charging it and then taking the temperature every 20 minutes, and the temperature on some of them has risen by 5 centigrade. I'm just trying to collect as much information for when the electrician gets here. And so I can give them a history of what's been going on. And there's no way of diagnosing any problems because we can't get to the display, so if there are any error codes there we can't see them, and it looks like it's cooked our batteries and we might need a whole new battery bank. So one thing that doesn't really come across in the videos is how hot and humid it is here. It's you wake up in a pool of sweat, you go to sleep in a pool of sweat because obviously we haven't got air conditioning. There is one room here that has got air conditioning, but it's centrally controlled and it's so cold you have to bring a jumper, so you kind of walk in covered in sweat and then 5 minutes later you have to wear a jumper. But it has got the best Wi-Fi in the whole area. It's quite fast, so that's where I'm going now because I need to source some batteries. The battery bank is basically dying very quickly. The fridge and the freezer switched off last night because of lack of power, and all of our boat systems are on that system, so we're desperately trying to source some batteries, which isn't easy in a country like Colombia. We have got some friends here who are kind of quite supportive and helpful, but a lot of people have got problems of their own. We've got one who's got probably the worst case of osmosis I've ever seen, so his boat's here for at least 3 months while he tries and sort that system out. Another guy's been struck by lightning, so he's sorting his electrics out. Right, here's the room. So there were frequent power cuts in Cartagena, and I'm not sure whether it was a surge from one of these power cuts or whether it was a faulty battery charger or whether it was the Victron batteries themselves. We had friends who had Victron batteries of the same age and make who also had a complete battery meltdown while they were just trickle charging from the MPPT controller from the solar panels. Could have been any one of those things, or it could have been a combination, but even now I'm still not sure exactly what it was. But no matter, we had a real problem on our hands now.
We have finally an electrician has turned up and he's testing the batteries. It's really hot here in Colombia, and it doesn't make schooling any easier because it's so hot. How's you doing this morning? Time at school. Is it hot too?
I'm just tired.
So the fridge just kind of obviously stopped working. It started melting yesterday really, so now I've emptied it out. And I transported it all into the under seat freezer, which is more economical, so it's all in here now. Just been trying to put a bit of charge in just to keep that freezer going really, and try to keep basic things going.
This is Nesto, and he's the electrician. So what he's doing is just removing the worst batteries to take them out of the bank, because they obviously have an effect on the other ones. So we're just jigging things around at the moment to try and make up a sort of a semi-reliable battery bank until we can get the new batteries. These will be okay for now, or are we leaving them out?
No. No connecting.
No connecting, okay. So we've got them in a series of two, so we've got one bank there, and then one odd battery, which can't connect to anything because it's an odd number, and they're 12 volt batteries and we're on a 24 volt system, so we need two batteries joined up at any one time. So I've spent the last 2 days trying to find suppliers for decent batteries and battery chargers, and it's just proving impossible. I've tried the Victron dealers here and none of them have got anything in stock, and it's going to take anything from 6 to 8 weeks to get anything sent over. As an act of desperation, I even applied to the partnership program on the Battleborn website, where they sponsor people who are doing alternative off-grid projects, and they'll sponsor them by donating some of their batteries. But I heard nothing back. But that wasn't the end of the story, which you'll find out later in the blog. So we need 8 AGM batteries, we need a battery charger, and obviously I want to get a battery monitoring system. We can import it from the United States, but that causes problems with import duties, and we've got to get a freight forwarding company to bring it from Florida so that's a whole kind of other logistic thing. And the thing is, we're heading to Panama and then out into the South Pacific, and it's the time when you really want the boat to be absolutely at its best, because there's no support through the South Pacific, and the boat just seems to be going the opposite direction. It doesn't seem to how much money and work we put into this boat, it just seems to get worse. I'm just fed up with it. I just want to go to bed and wake up back in the UK and not have to deal with any of this, because I've had enough really just. So this is day 3 or 4 of trying to get hold of some batteries and trying to sort the battery problem out. We had the electrician over Nestro, who basically isolated the bad batteries and kind of put the less bad batteries into a bank of 4. But we're finding that it's not even keeping the freezer going. I did order some batteries. I sort of specified AGM deep cycle batteries. Somebody just said they had some, so I put the order in straight away, and then the spec sheets came through and it turns out they're just standard lead acid batteries, so I had to cancel that order. Then I bumped into another electrician who basically said that there was about a half an hour walk from here there was a battery store, so I'm going to go down there today and find out. I mean, I have been in contact with dealers in the United States, trying to sort out couriers to get things sent out from Florida. The logistics of trying to get everything here and fitted within the next few weeks. It's just not going to happen, basically. It would have taken about 8 weeks at the very least. So anyway, I'm going to head into town today. It's Friday afternoon, so I need to get down there as quickly as possible and look at this battery store, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can find some that are the right size, the right amperage, and I can get them ordered, because it takes a week to order them to get all the paperwork done, because obviously we're a boat in transit and we don't want to be paying any 19% tax. It's been a nightmare, really. Okay, off I go. So I've been to the battery centre. It's about an hour round trip by foot. I could have taken a taxi, but the roads are so chaotic and flooded today that I don't think it would have been much quicker. But the guys there were really friendly and helpful, as everybody is in Colombia actually. But we couldn't quite find the right batteries. They were either physically too big, or they weren't AGM deep cycle batteries. We found some Bosch batteries which were kind of an almost fit, but we could probably squeeze 6 in there. But it's not an ideal situation, so I'm going to head back to the boat now and then remeasure. Yeah, it's just been another one of those days. And yesterday I thought it was sorted out, and then it was like back to square one. So been to the battery centre, nothing there. So honestly, it's so easy when you're back home. You just kind of click online, order exactly what you want, and it turns up the next day. It's definitely not like that here. Things about walking around these places is you get to see part of the country that tours never actually take you to. You know, so you actually see everyday life. You know, like people just working on the cars or getting the shopping in. You know, and it's kind of you do get to see a part of the place. It's a bit unusual. Most people we know here have either got air conditioning on the boat, or they basically get accommodation ashore because of the heat and the humidity and the mosquitoes. But we don't, because we're cheapskates, and so we're kind of braving it out, but we're so looking forward to getting back on anchor. What we decided to do is get half a battery bank of the cheaper batteries, the cheaper AGMs, to get us through the sandblasts and onto Panama. We've got a provision up as well, get some things at the store, a lot of provision actually, because we're going to be at anchor for 3 weeks, and then we're done.
We've got 4 just kind of keeping things going a little bit, keeping the fridge semi-cold, but we have 4 more sort of Chinese ones arriving today, which are going to keep us going hopefully to Panama, where we've got ordered loads of batteries from Victron, loads of new ones, and a new charger and everything, so that'll all be going to Panama, but we need to kind of get there, and so we're going to go with our 4 cheap Chinese batteries, and yeah, just go really easy on the power, which means we'll only have the freezer going. We'll turn it off a lot so it's not too frozen, so we can kind of use it as a fridge freezer, and we're not going to make any water, and we'll have all the lights off early, and you know, we can do it. We can just, hopefully we can limp our way. The only thing is to keep the instruments going really, so everything charged up in the day. This is the batteries at the moment. This is the current situation. Rowan hasn't been sleeping in this room because the batteries get way too hot and it's too nerve-wracking. So we've left it open and ventilated, and they don't hold a charge at all now. We've pretty much just had them on just to keep the freezer going. So this is the freezer, which we've been using as a fridge freezer. So the middle bit's the freezer, and then the side bit's a sort of fridge. But yeah, anyway, we're going to go and try and stock up and see what will survive being frozen and then refrigerated.
I have to pay for delivery. Have you got 50?
50, yeah, I've got 50. What have you got to do, pay for delivery?
The suppliers didn't pay for the delivery, so I've got to cover the cost.
You got to cover it?
Yeah. I mean, I was waiting by the gate. If I wasn't there, they would have just taken them back. Yeah, they've got 45.
Is it 45 they need? Which is that? That's nearly 6,000. Rowan, have you even got any change, have you? Woody was waiting there for the batteries, and they've turned up, and do you need help?
They've arrived 2 weeks later.
Okay.
No, actually, they've taken about 4 days to get here. Well, no, 5 days actually. They were supposed to arrive on Friday, but they didn't arrive on Friday. Then I was told Saturday. Didn't arrive Saturday. Then I was told Monday, and it's Monday today, so they've arrived. So tonight at 7 o'clock, I've got the electrician coming to help me install them, and then we can be on the way with half a battery bank, but at least we can go. So to install the new batteries, we had to prise apart what was left of the old bank, which wasn't easy.
All the soil is horrible. Look.
Is it hot? Is it very hot? Hot?
They melted into each other, yeah. Okay.
And like you can see here, they've actually melted together. And so this is like part of the other battery.
My friend
Yeah.
and my neighbor.
Yeah. So this guy, he does this as a hobby. Seriously? Wow. Okay. See ya.
So it's taken us ages to get these batteries, but they finally turned up today. But we have the electrician turning up in about half an hour, and he's going to help me install them, and then hopefully we'll be ready to leave in the morning. But it's been such a trauma to try and get proper deep cycle AGM branded batteries that fit in our battery box. Nestor, the electrician, is going to turn up in about half an hour and help us install them. But it's going to be a bit awkward because it's now dark, and so we're going to have lots of torches up because all the lights on the boat actually run off the batteries.
New batteries. I like the colour. Green batteries, and they're nice and cool because normally we have to keep trying them and they get really hot. The ones before, the old ones. But these are looking really. What's that liquid there, Woody?
It's not good.
Why is it not good?
Luckily that wasn't coming from the batteries, that was just the sweat from me dripping all over the battery bank as I was installing them. So fast forward about 4 or 5 weeks, we'd already been through the Sandblast Islands. In hindsight I should have ordered 8 because they worked perfectly well and were a lot cheaper than the Victron batteries that we had coming in.
This is the Victron 12 volt 110 amp hour batteries, and obviously they're very heavy. So it's got the M8 connectors, the M8 terminals here, the maintenance free battery. We had these before, so basically we're just swapping like for like.
So to comply with insurance and regulations and whatnot, we hired an electrician through Shelter Bay Marina. But stupidly, we hired him without getting a quote first. Shelter Bay were charging $75 an hour with an estimated time of 4 days. Now bearing in mind this was just a straight battery swap out and installing a charger.
So he also does YouTubing as a chef. Is that YouTube or Instagram?
Instagram.
Instagram. Okay.
So as soon as I found this out, I quickly dispatched these services and decided to do the install myself. The other thing that happened was the replacement battery charger for Mastervolt. When it turned up, it turned out to be 110 volt and not the 220 volt that we needed. And we just spent $300 to Shelter Bay to clear customs and get it to the marina. So sending it back wasn't really an option with logistics and costs. So I just decided to store it away from now and perhaps sell it at a future date with the 4 batteries that we'd removed to try and recuperate some costs which just were running off the rails at this point. So in the midst of this whole entire battery meltdown nightmare, Battleborn accepted us onto their partnership program. So from the depths of despair, it looked like we were finally going to get the lithium install that I'd always dreamed about.
So everything's happened at once. We've sold the green batteries, and the Victron batteries have turned up, and in the midst of installing them we've heard from Battleborn that they're sending lithium batteries, which is we couldn't have wished for better batteries really. It's exactly what we would have wished for in the first place. It's still going to take a few weeks for the Battleborns to get here because of freighting times and things. So what we'll do is we'll install them for now and keep them nice and healthy, and then sell them on when the Battleborn batteries get here.
So lithium batteries, they are on their way. Battleborn send them to Miami. There's 10 batteries coming, 24 volt batteries, 50 amp hours each, I think. So we got a delivery company to help us with bringing them over because they've got the licenses that help with all the customs and everything.
Now these Battleborn lithium batteries are almost drop-in replacements for AGMs, but as always happens in our boat, nothing was ever straightforward. Our system is 25 years old and a lot of the battery hardware isn't really compatible with today's safety standards. So everything from the battery chargers to the cables to the bus bars needed replacing. So in the next few vlogs what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a series of stages that I did to upgrade the boat to a lithium system. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and a big thanks to our patrons as always for keeping us going. You know what you do for us, and we greatly appreciate it. If you want to become a patron or you want to contribute towards these blogs, then just follow the links in the description below. And now you can also buy one of our crew shirts by following the links to our merch store.